Hello, welcome back to Crushing Sounds. My name is Chris, and today I'm looking at. Oh man, I wish I didn't do video reviews sometimes. Ygg Huur by black metal band Krallice. So this review is part of a collab with these lovely people. You can find their pages using these Instagram handles. I was invited to do this by Dennis Music Reviews, so thank you very much, my dude. Essentially, today, all of us are dropping our thoughts on the same album. I have put up a very short written review on Instagram, but here are my full thoughts on this album. So, Krallice are a New York-based black metal band. Some people call them technical black metal as well, because black metal doesn't really cover the whole package. Their sound is very intense, very technical, and some might even use the dreaded word experimental. They have released 11 albums, this one we're talking about today being their 5th. I'm not especially down with a lot of black metal, however, from what I have researched of these guys, they are super respected and very much admired within the black metal scene. Perhaps my brother Mike would know more, he's kind of the black metal guy out of the two of us. But that always puts me in the unique position of listening to this album without any prior knowledge or context of what the band is supposed to sound like. An album smack in the middle of their career, I think it's as good a place as any to dive in with this band. So black metal, I think, of all the subgenres of extreme metal, is a title that I think is the most nebulous. It didn't used to be this way, of course. Back in the early days, when you were getting an album labelled as black metal, you likely knew exactly what that was going to entail, really. That isn't the case anymore at all. We have black metal that either is like those early days, the classic style, but we also have black metal that adds extra elements from other genres, such as Noctool. We also have blackened death metal, like Behemoth. And also we have black metal, which tries to be uncompromising, brutal, evil-sounding, and with a messed-up atmosphere, but not achieving that by having production that sounds like it was recorded in a shed with the microphone outside of the shed. Instead, it's dread sense, really brutal atmosphere that's achieved through the songwriting itself, not the production. Bands that I would say are part of that latter style are bands like Imperial Triumphant and, of course, Krallice, or at the very least, this album, Ygg Huur. Now, Imperial Triumphant and Krallice are absolutely nothing alike in terms of how they sound, but I think they both employ somewhat similar methods to achieve the unrelenting form of music that they are delivering to their audience. So Ygg Huur by Krallice is, as I said before, very, very uncompromising in its delivery. This is, of course, completely intentional. It starts out easy enough with some opening riffs on Idols. Some of the riffs remind me a lot of Pallbearers. There's a bit of Doom for you guys in there as well. But as soon as those vocals kick in and those drums go up to full speed, we enter the realms that this album is going to keep you in for the duration. I can't for the life of me remember the last time I used this term before. It might have been when I was looking at Imperial Triumphant's album, but I again ask, is there a genre called Death Doom? Or in this case, I guess blackened death doom. If it's not, let's not make it a thing. We don't need more meaningless subgenre titles, but that's the kind of vibe I get with this album. My point is that I have a very hard time saying definitively that this is black metal, because amongst all the noise and brutal assault, there is so much going on here. I mentioned the comparison to doom metal numerous times already, but once we get to Wastes of Ocean is where things start to get a lot more intense. It has a very frenetic and loose guitar playing that creates a real sense of unease. You can't relax when you listen to this thing. That and the vocals are suitably awesome and fitting. They're not quite proper harsh vocals for the most part. There are some exceptions to that. It's more that kind of shouted vocal style that sounds more pained than angry and demonic. It's a largely instrumental affair on this album, but when the vocals do come in, they fit in perfectly. Those are some of the highlights of the album. When I say loose guitar lines, I definitely don't mean that as a negative. It all flows together beautifully, but it feels written as if to sound as free-flowing as it possibly can. If you took lots of 5-second intervals on Wastes of Ocean, or any song on this album for that matter, and played them without any context, you could probably fool someone into thinking that they're hearing several different songs. It just goes to show how much this band can quickly jump from one completely different passage to another within the same song and not make it feel very repetitive. How they do these transitions is so hypnotic and engaging to listen to. I am no drummer, that much should be obvious. If you've seen a number of these videos, I often don't mention drums that much, but I would guess that the reason this album is able to dance between tempos and passages so seamlessly is the amazing drum work on this album. Check out the song Over Spirit and how the drumming effortlessly switches constantly while the guitars aren't moving too much. It's really, really cool stuff. The second half of the song, though, also has some of my favourite guitar moments on the album. A lot of high lead stuff duelled between the guitars, and it sounds huge. The bass even punches through at one point as well. This track is just awesome. I just can't get over again how effortlessly they manage to move between ideas in these songs. Tyranny of Thought starts out really heavy and low, it has some more epic lead lines, and then almost drops out completely with just the bass and the drums to a really cool beat, which then leads into a chaotic build-up, which sustains us for the rest of the track. It's seriously impressive songwriting. At first, I was going through this album and I thought, the drums are a bit lower in the mix than I'm used to, but that also led me to think, I can actually hear the bass. I don't give bass enough credit here either, let's just be clear, but it's really cool here as well. Everything's amazing on this album, but the bass, the rhythm section in general is solid throughout the entire package. I mentioned before how the drums are what is setting the pulse to the music, and the guitars are dancing around that. But the bass is working in perfect harmony with the drums. You can really hear when the guitars drop, the bass and the drums really locking together, and it sounds super satisfying. As much as I love the guitar work on this album, you could almost block that out in your head and just listen to the rhythm section, and it's still amazing to listen to. Technical black metal, or technical death metal, or some parts of prog metal, often get derided for being too overly technical for their own good, I guess, making something that sounds flashy and impressive rather than what is actually enjoyable to listen to. I don't agree, but I can totally get that sometimes, and I appreciate this kind of music is not for everyone, not remotely. Heck, I can feasibly see even some black metal fans turning their nose up to this, because is it true cult? I have no idea. But unlike some bands, I don't see Krallice being overly technical just for the sake of it. It all feels like it was done to create a very specific vibe and atmosphere that they wanted to get at. It's not easy listening, but it's not meant to be either. It's meant to be unsettling, hard to relax to, but also something you can just get completely lost and absorbed in. Sorry, pop filter. They achieved that, and it's impressive as hell. I haven't heard technical anything as awesome as this since I first heard Imperial Triumphant. Yes, I know there are other bands probably more applicable to describe here, but that's just the band I've got in mind for this video, so screw it. Ygg Huur was such a cool experience. I would urge anyone to give this a try. It's definitely not put it in the background music kind of deal. You will miss out on all the tiny nuances in how these songs are structured and put together if you listen to it that way. Get your headphones on, really get your head in there, get stuck in. It's only 35 minutes long, so it's not a long ordeal if it's not quite working for you. If you find technical black metal a bit too much, or find the idea of unrelenting chaos a little bit unpleasant, I'd still recommend you give this a try. It's not very long, and it could be a really cool gateway into some really powerful music, I guess, powerful in the most sadistic sense of the word, because Krallice's Ygg Huur is a really good album, and as good an album as any to demonstrate how proficient songwriting can be in extreme metal. So thanks for watching. Thanks again, Dennis Music Reviews, for inviting me to take part in this collaboration review, I guess we'll call it. Go check out all these amazing people, check out their reviews. Follow them on Instagram, that's where you'll find them, and see what they all think. I've got no idea what they think about it, they don't know what I've thought about it, so it'll be interesting to see what we all think. This was really fun. Hopefully I get to do it again in the future. thank you all for watching. Go listen to some Krallice, go listen to Ygg Huur, go listen to all their albums. They've got so fucking many. I'm definitely going to check out more of this band. But yeah, thanks again for watching. Check out all the other lovely people involved in this. Yeah, go listen to some amazing heavy metal, and I'll see you in the next video.